Hello, I'm Aaron Traeger, pediatrician with Advocate Medical Group here in Bloomington, Normal, Illinois. And summer is here, and we're going to talk about summer water safety, or just water safety in general. When you're around water, we want you to be very, very careful. Those little pools that have in your yard with only a couple inches of water in there, you know, kids can slip, kids can fall, kids can hit their head and lose consciousness and drown, unfortunately, in those kinds of pools. So you have to be very, very on them and watching them very, very carefully at all times about this. Anytime you're around water with kids at all, there needs to be some clear rules. You know, so number one, no pushing around the pool, no running next to the water, no diving in short and shallow pools. And you know, as a child, I remember saying to myself, I was like, it's just pushing, it's just running, it's not that big of a deal. As a parent, I'm terrified by those things, you know, because you see what can happen, that you know that someone can get knocked down or fall, slip and fall, and it's going to happen. So you just have to be almost militant about it and say no running every single time, especially when the kids are a little bit older and they can kind of swim a little bit. You know, make sure there's no roughhousing in the pool. You know, you don't know how strong of a swimmer the little guy is next to you. What if you kick him and pull him under? You know, so those are all things we have to be very intense about. And it sounds like, well, I'm being a buzzkill with kids when I'm supervising them, but no, we really are, because we want them to be safe, because the consequences can be very, very bad. The other thing is that if you do have a pool, the safest way to protect that pool is with a fence on all four sides of the pool. If you have an in-ground pool or a pool that's in your backyard more permanently, people will say, well, I have a fence around it, but then they forget that their sliding glass door goes out to where the pool is. You know, really the safest thing is a fence that goes all the way around, because kids can learn how to open screen doors and they can get into things when you're not paying fully attention. So a fence with all four sides is very, very important. And the last tip is, and this hits a lot of parents, including myself, kind of hard, is adult supervision is adult supervision, okay? It's really easy to be like, all right, there's 7 or 8 adults here, and there's 6 or 7 kids or more, and somebody's watching. Not always, okay? So it really is good to say, you know, I'm watching, or you say, you know, you're watching the kids right now, I'm going here. You make sure that there's some really good handoff between those things. Also, you know, try and lay off the alcohol, okay? You know, people get a little intoxicated, you start getting a little more lax on those things. And then the absolute worst thing for pools now that I see is this thing, okay? Because you go to the pool and everybody's checking their email, they're on the Facebook, and you don't see what's happening. And it's like a minute goes by, it seems like in your mind, but really that could have been longer, it could have been 10 minutes. So we're seeing a significant rise in pool-related injuries secondary to the magic cell phone box. So when you're out there, have a good time, teach your kids the rules and enforce them, and more importantly, make sure that there are people being accountable for the safety of the children.